Warning, this video has spoilers for almost every episode in the Sherlock series, so please proceed with caution. And I also must know, it is easier to follow along with the video if you have already watched the show. Have fun and enjoy the video. This Sherlock series, a British TV show involving mystery, murder, and mayhem, alongside Britain's most well-known consulting detective Sherlock Holmes and his friend Dr. John Watson. A great show that has suddenly gone downhill and making my disappointment immeasurable. But what makes me say that? Hi, my name's Aiden Frostfall, and today we're going to be covering around 6 reasons / complaints I have about the Sherlock series that made me sadly stop watching. Also, I just want to say before we continue, despite a few moments with a bit of language and a few suggestive topics, I have nothing against the first and second seasons of this series. They are very good. I really enjoy them. I had a great time watching them, and I have nothing against them. This one is mainly just covering the third series that really took the spiral downhill. So first, what is the main plot behind this series? In the first episode of the first season, we are introduced to John Hamish Watson, whose military pension isn't exactly helping him pay the rent, and after meeting an old buddy of his, he is paired up with his soon-to-be roommate Sherlock Holmes. After solving a crime together and Watson potentially saving Sherlock's life, the two hit it off as friends, solving crime together for the rest of the first season and the second season. That is until episode 3 of season 2. Where Sherlock Holmes' arch-enemy, Moriarty, brings about the downfall of Sherlock Holmes' reputation by convincing people Sherlock Holmes is a fraud and all his cases are hoaxes. But to make things even worse, Moriarty threatens to kill all of Sherlock's friends unless Sherlock throws himself off a building, ending his own life. Long story short, Moriarty ends up killing himself to prevent Sherlock from making him call off the snipers, and Sherlock is forced to take his own life in order to protect his friends, leaving them shocked and completely heartbroken. But gotcha! Sherlock is actually not dead, he just pulled a simple Loki on us, and that, my friends, is when things started going downhill.
Side rants?
As I'm about to begin my complaints and reasonings for why I don't for the third season, I'd just like to make it very clear, I have nothing against the second episode, The Sign of 3. So it is not included in this. I love that episode. It's probably like by far my favorite episode. And it's probably the only good thing about season 3. Number 1, how it's done. This is how Sherlock Holmes faked his death. Now, this is not the worst scandal I have about this season, but I thought it was worth mentioning. I feel like it was maybe a little way too planned. I feel that Moriarty would have noticed. Look, as much as I don't like Moriarty, I mean, big villain and all that, he is, I will give it to him, he is very clever. So, for Sherlock to have completely, blocked off an entire street and just have everything set up, I think Moriarty would have noticed something fishy. I mean, he did get there before Sherlock, so he must have been sitting around on that rooftop for a while, and he might have noticed, why is that cyclist just sitting there? He could have crossed the road a while ago. Now, you could say, well, Mycroft was helping Sherlock, so, he helped plan it all out. Mycroft's got guys that can help do stuff. Yes, that is true, but let's face it, Moriarty is not a man, as Sherlock says.
He's a spider. Spider at the center of a web. Criminal web with 1,000 threads, and he knows precisely how each and every single one of them dances.
So, Moriarty has his own guys, he probably has his own, and we also have to remember, this is the modern age, so there's probably satellites and cameras and all that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Moriarty had control of a few satellites himself. Again, this is not the biggest issue I have with this season, but I do feel it's worth mentioning. Number 2, face reveal. Now, this scene when Sherlock reveals himself to Watson to show him that he's actually alive is rather the beginning of a change in Sherlock Holmes' character. I personally myself found the scene relatively disappointing. I mean, I don't like how Sherlock's coming around stealing people's stuff to make a disguise. Now, about the disguise, I just want to say, They probably did get it from the book, because I think how Sherlock reveals himself that he's alive to Watson in the book, he does disguise himself as someone. So they might have gotten that off the book, though I personally didn't find it too funny. And also, I'm not surprised at all how Watson reacts. Not at all.
Rest of the world.
I don't understand. I said I'm sorry, isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Alright, number 3, bad jokes. Now, in the Sherlock series, there are a few moments where there's not too good jokes with some language, but I'm not referring to any of those. I'm specifically referring to this one scene when Sherlock and Watson are inside this train cab that turns out is actually full of bombs and is about to blow up. Now, both Sherlock and Watson have no idea how to shut off this bomb, and Sherlock, having no idea what to do, is soon almost moved to tears as he begs Watson to forgive him for any wrongs he has done to them, as they are both about to die. Watson forgives his friend and braces himself for his inevitable end. But gotcha! Turns out Sherlock actually did know how to turn off the bomb, and had found this off switch and simply flicked it off. Now, actually, I did look that up. Depending on the bomb, some bombs actually do have off switches, so this is not completely unrealistic. But the unrealistic part here is how Sherlock, after switching the bomb off, begins to simultaneously laugh at Watson for his reaction, thinking it's hilarious that Watson thought he was about to die. And I totally dislike how Sherlock Holmes thinks this is funny. It's not funny. And it's actually pretty contrary to Sherlock Holmes's, original personality, because there is a scene actually in one of the earlier episodes, The Hounds of Baskerville, where it's almost like exactly the same scene. Watson is in a position where he thinks he's about to die. He's asking Sherlock Holmes for help as he thinks a giant hound is going to eat him and kill him. When Sherlock comes, rescues him, it is revealed later at the end of the episode that it had all been set up. Sherlock knew exactly what was going on. Watson wasn't in any danger at all. But when it's revealed to Watson what actually happened, Sherlock doesn't go off saying, "Ha, you should have seen your face, oh, it's so funny." He doesn't, and he doesn't start laughing, making fun of Watson, which shows how I disagree with Sherlock's reaction here, because it doesn't match with here. And also, it's just plain mean if you think about it. I mean, I would not, that's just plain mean to, play this prank on your friend who thought you were dead for, 2 years and then making fun of him. It's not funny. Anyone who finds that funny, I'm sorry. That's just wrong. Number 4, In Love. Right, quickly, before I continue on this one, I just want to say, I actually did not watch the 3rd episode for the 3rd season. Actually, 2 people very near and dear to my heart watched it for me, and it turned out it wasn't very good. So any information I had, so I actually haven't watched it. So when I mention scenes from it, it's just what I've been told and what I've seen on YouTube. So anyway, back to it. Now, right off at the beginning of the 1st episode of the 1st season, when Watson kind of suggests to Sherlock, asking him if he has a girlfriend, and Sherlock immediately shows no interest and even says he is married to his work and is not interested at all in any kind of love affair. He even says in a later episode in season 2 that how love is a distractment. It's distracting.
I imagine John Watson thinks love's a mystery to me, but the chemistry is incredibly simple and very distractive.
This is why this affair that apparently in the 3rd episode that he has with this girl is totally makes no sense. It's contrary to his character. I don't agree that Sherlock would fall in love with someone and just get into an affair with it. I don't believe it, and I don't think it's right. Now, you could say, well, hang on, what about Scandal in Belgravia? Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. With Irina Adler. Isn't that him falling in love? Now, yes, I did watch this episode. Even up until now, I'm still kind of confused on whether Sherlock's actually in love, or she's in love, or they actually don't like each other. I found it pretty confusing, but I've kind of narrowed it down to, I think maybe Irina loves him, in a romance way, but I think it's more of a respect for each other, if that's a thing, like respectful love kind of thing. I don't think it's like romantic love. And even if it is, it's like a tiny little romance love. It's not like a big thing. And for me, that's as far as it can and should go for Sherlock Holmes. Like, for his type of character, like, going farther than that is just crossing a line. Number 5, Murder Most Foul. By the end of the third episode of the third season, Sherlock Holmes and Watson face off with the new villain. And to make things short, again, I didn't watch the episode. So, from what I'm aware of, Sherlock in the end, as the police come in, shoots and kills the villain. Now, I have a lot of problems with this scene. I'll first just get into the first issues I have with this scene. The first one is what Sherlock Holmes does by shooting the villain. It's wrong. I'm sorry, it's wrong. Now you could say, well, he did it for a reason. The guy's evil and, he was doing it for Mary and Watson and all that. Now, I know he's evil. I know the bad guy's evil. He's done a lot of bad stuff. But on a moral standpoint, it's wrong to shoot anyone. Unless it's in self-defense. But in this circumstance, it's not. There's no point in shooting him. I mean, I bet there's a guy who's exactly just as bad or even worse than the guy just down the road of him. I bet there's a guy just as evil or even more evil than this guy. But the thing is, bad people need to change their ways, repay their wrongs. But sadly, most evil people don't. Sadly, the world's pretty evil. And we just can't go around shooting everyone who's bad. And unfortunately, that's kind of what this show is not portraying. Also, one more thing about this scene. Again, this is not a complete foolproof statement, but when Sherlock shoots him, I also find that's another thing that Sherlock Holmes would not do. There is a scene that's pretty similar when in the first season, third episode, the scene with when Sherlock meets his archenemy Moriarty at the swimming pool. He has a chance to shoot Moriarty in the head exactly like he did to that Augustus guy, but he doesn't. Now, yes, you could say, well, there were snipers, right? So if he shot Moriarty, then they would have shot John, and that would have set off the bomb, and then they would have all died. Yes, you are correct, and I agree. But if you watch the episode, you can kind of tell that Sherlock was not going to shoot Moriarty. I think even Moriarty knew that, too.
I will burn the heart out of you.
I have been reliably informed that I don't have one.
But we both know that's not quite true.
That's kind of why when I heard about this scene, when Sherlock shot Augustus, I was like...
What?
My mind was blown. Number 6, all in the head. Now, I have a problem with this villain here. And no, it's not because he's not evil enough. He is pretty evil, I'll give that to him. But in this one scene, when they go to his apartment to get evidence, I think it was. Now, first of all, no mastermind would keep his very important stuff in an apartment building. That's ridiculous. Even in real life, they keep all this kind of secret information stuff in a warehouse in the middle of the desert somewhere. But back to it. It turns out all this evidence, all this blackmail this guy has, it's all in his head. You think, well, that's kind of clever, don't you think? No, it's not. It's actually pretty dumb, and it doesn't work in real life. If these big criminal systems were run like that, where everything's just inside one guy's head, he doesn't actually have solid evidence, it wouldn't work. I mean, you need solid evidence. I mean, if Mary knew and saw those letters and it turned out they're just fake, well, she would have less to worry about now because, hey, it turns out he doesn't even actually have the letters. It's all in his head. You need evidence. Also, an example of this is Moriarty. He's a clever mastermind too, but that stunt he pulled off when he convinced people that Sherlock was a hoax, he wouldn't have been able to do that without proof. How would he have convinced that reporter that Sherlock is all fake if he didn't have that actual solid evidence that he's an actor and all that stuff? She might have believed him just for the sake of having a big scoop, but other people would not. So that's the thing. If you tried running this criminal system on just betting and hoping that people will believe you when you say you have information on them. It's pretty risky, and in the end will not work. I mean, think about it. If I said, I have a picture of you doing something super embarrassing, give me $1 million, otherwise I'll post it on Facebook. And you would probably be worried, but you'd probably ask me, well, show me this photo. How do I know you actually have it? And if it just turns out it's all in my head, I don't actually have it, then you probably won't be worried anymore, and you're not going to pay me anything. That's why you need evidence. Need solid evidence. Having everything in your head may sound clever, but in real life it doesn't work. Finally, number 7, Mary Watson.
Side rants?
Yeah, I love this character. She's a good wife. She's just like the perfect wife for Watson. She knows what both Sherlock and Watson need. She's not jealous that Watson likes spending time with Sherlock. She is just a lovely character. From the moment I met her, I just loved her. So that's why when I heard that, gotcha, she's actually a killer, like someone who's done some bad stuff in the third one, I was...
My disappointment is immeasurable. And my day is ruined.
Now, from what I've been told, apparently Mary has done some bad stuff, and now that all that bad stuff has finally caught up with her, and things are just going bad. That leads to a lot of bad stuff to happen. Mary shoots Sherlock. Sherlock ends up shooting that Augustus guy. And well, I mean, in the end, when things do get kind of cleared up, and Watson forgives Mary, which is all very sweet, what really should have happened is that far away at the beginning when this thing happened, when Mary did this bad thing and when this thing happened, Mary should have, right away, she should have just paid for the wrong, maybe even have gone to jail for it if that's the case, and just leave it at that. No matter what evil she did, no matter what other evil she's threatened with next, she should have dealt with it, and then that would have been that. But if you did something bad and you just throw it away and lock it up in the closet, it's still there. It's gonna catch up with you, and that's what happens. And that's basically what happens. I mean, heck, I would say shame on Mary for getting Watson involved and getting married with him. Now they have a kid, and now it turns out she did all this bad stuff, and now Sherlock ends up murdering someone now, and now he's a criminal. It all just begins with the first bad thing that was never repaired or set straight in justice in the court of law. And then if you don't, because now you didn't fix it, now it catches up to you, and now you're in a big mess. But unfortunately, they don't really portray this in the episode. They don't really show that, yes, Mary should have done this, and this wouldn't have happened, and all that. I mean, sure, she's sorry for it now, but you should have fixed it earlier. Now this is a big disaster. So, I mean, I'm sorry, but Mary probably now should go to jail for what she did. I mean, I'm sorry she's pregnant, but John's just gonna have to take care of the child, and she's just gonna have to spend the amount of time she needs to in jail. I mean, sorry if it's not fair, but that's the way things are, and it's the way things should be. And, yeah, that's about it. Turns out I had one more reason. I thought it was 6. Turns out it was 7. And yeah, no, I will not. I am not planning to watch any of the other seasons. I am glad, though, at least the directors made at least one good episode, one really good episode before the things started going weird. Because this episode, it kind of ends off the series for me, really nicely. It's kind of the beginning of a new era now with John and Mary, and it does make me feel kind of sad for Sherlock Holmes, though, because, his friend's married now, he's got a new life, and things are probably not going to be the same anymore. And I am kind of sad that I will no longer be able to watch new episodes every weekend. I am kind of sad I won't be able to watch new episodes every weekend of these two guys solving crimes together. I really did enjoy my time watching it. They are really good episodes. Kind of bittersweet, but also excellent all the same. Also, congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. Also, thank you so much to all the people who are subscribed. It's because of you guys this channel is still here and still alive. I was going to end it long ago, but because of you guys, this channel is still here and we're still going. You're the reason this channel is alive, so thank you so much for that. If you like seeing content like this, or you just prefer to see my edits, just comment down below. I'm Mine Frostwell, thanks for watching. See you next time, guys. Peace out. Him call off the SWAT for making sure Moriarty ends up killing himself to present. Long story short, Moriarty ends up killing. Long story short, Moriarty ends up killing himself to present. I can't get this. As to Watson as. I have to close that window. It's so hot. I hope it doesn't show my sweat in the video. John's just gonna go. Yeah, yes, I'm filming. That is close. We're gonna have like a blooper scene for this video.